Howdy folks, Mark Serbu, gun designer, gun nut. Today is basically product whoring, but it's a really great product whoring video because I was contacted by these people. I can't pronounce it. Makera, I don't know.
Carvera by Makera.
Hi everyone, Jason from Makera here.
So yeah, it's a difficult name to pronounce. They make the Carvera and the Carvera Air little desktop CNC machine, and man, just before I even looked at the machine and heard anything about it, I understand that the company is into helping people make stuff, which is huge because here in the US we don't make stuff as much as we used to. And kids were growing up and couldn't turn a wrench, couldn't change oil in their car, couldn't change spark plugs, whatever. And in my day, we did all that stuff. We did engine swaps, transmissions, brakes, just everything. Anything that gets people using their hands to do stuff with, as opposed to just clicking a mouse, typing on a keyboard, I'm all for it, man, because there's a lot you can do with your hands. Boy, that's a loaded one. Anyway, this Carvera Air is a really cool little machine. It's the best part of it is it comes with everything. I mean, it has, I don't know, 4 or 5 different projects with it, and it contains every little thing you need, every bit of material, every tool, complete instructions on it, and it's neat stuff too. I've never seen, there's actually a circuit board where you machine the copper plated, circuit board material, and you actually machine your own traces on it and then put on this resist stuff so the solder doesn't stick to certain areas. And man, it's very well done, very detailed. On the other hand, for somebody like me, and I've learned, I don't know, probably I've owned at least 6 different brands of CNC machines over the years, and so my thing is always, I approach a CNC machine, I look for certain things. Okay, it's going to have jog mode, it's going to have MDI, manual data input, it's going to have memory mode or program mode, or just run stuff. And all those machines, and in fact when I teach people who work here the CNC stuff, it's always got the same basic set of functions. So I sat down to the Carvera Air and I see MDI mode and I see run mode, memory program mode, but the other things I'm used to seeing, like when I run a program for the first time, the rapid speed, and this thing, it doesn't exactly, set the world on fire with its rapid speed, but I always run my rapids down as low as I can go when I'm running a program the first time, because the machine will zip around, and if you're going to crash something, it's going to crash hard. If it's going 5% rapid instead of 100%, then you got a really good shot at stopping it, or if it does crash, it's not going to crash that hard. So I didn't see a way to do that yet. And also just in general, my workflow on CNC of just, designing the thing in CAD, programming it, sending it out to the machine, all that stuff, because I didn't even know what post-processor to use with the Carvera Air, but I used a generic Fanuc one, and it didn't do so well. So for me, the learning curve is, I'm making it harder on myself. I'm making the learning curve steeper just because I want to learn this machine just like I learn any CNC, but I'm probably just going to have to break down and just go through some of the little projects, because the best way to learn stuff is by doing. But Carvera, and smartly so, has set this thing up for the novice, just somebody who's never had a CNC, and it's a good way to go because I don't know, in a way, for me it reminds me of AOL. When AOL first came out, all the hardcore people who knew how to really get on the internet said, that's not the internet, that's just some crappy little window to the sort of internet, and you don't know what you're doing. And it doesn't really matter, because the bottom line is you get stuff done. So with this little mini CNC, yes, they've got you kind of going down the path that they want you to go on, but you're going to end up with knowing how to do stuff on their machine, which is great. And when you get to a bigger machine or a different machine, you'll have some familiarity with different aspects of it. This is definitely just part 1, because I am going to come back and do a lot more, because I haven't done that much yet, because they want you to do these videos by a certain time, and I'm a busy guy running a gun company, so I can only devote so much time to my YouTube side projects. And So I'm just going to do this intro video just showing you me screwing up something, but I will definitely have a part 2, maybe even a part 3, where we'll make some actual parts that you guys will be interested in, because that's the thing, man. If you can make a freaking bolt head at home, that's pretty cool. The thing does have a 4th axis, and I'm assuming it'll do helical interpolation, so we can cut cam path cutouts and all that great stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. Just time constraints. So just out of curiosity, let me know, is anybody out there, you ever look for a little CNC? Like, I know the Tormach is something that a lot of the home builders talked about, and I know a lot of guys, you get away from CNC in general, because I mean, even this thing is as small and basic as it is, it's still $3,000, and that's a lot of money. But the Tormachs are, what, aren't they like 7 now? But is there anyone, just let me know in the comments if you would. Are you actually looking for a little CNC machine? Do you just, like, it's not even in your plan, not in your budget, or is it something you desperately like to have? Let me know. The thing about it, this machine is very capable. It's got, so far it's run all the G code I've thrown at it. But it is a light duty machine. You can't take big hogging cuts like you can on a 14,000 pound machine. But a lot of people are used to waiting on the freaking 3D printer to print out. This is going to be faster than that. So, but no matter what, it's a badass company. At least their charter, their idea is awesome. Getting I would assume mostly young people to make stuff, and that's awesome. Especially here where we don't make stuff so much anymore. Very cool. So yeah, my progress with the machine has been good. It was a little tough. I got tripped up with the post processor mostly. When you make something, well, you design something in the computer in CAD, and then you have to spit it out to a cam program. Well, not spit it out, but you work on it in the cam part. Like, it depends. I use the software that has, my solid modeler has a cam package that runs inside of it, but a lot of times you will use a CAD software, CAD solid modeler, that puts out a file that you bring into a separate program that does the CAM, the computer aided machining, and of course that has to spit out a G code to run your part. And the post processor is what tailors that G code to your particular machine. And I was trying to get away with just using the output for my Haas machines or just a generic FANUC, and it was giving squirrely results. So I finally just said, yeah, you know what, let's actually, I got to give Fuzzhead credit, my son-in-law. He was over here today and convinced me to go on the Makera website and look at their wiki on how to do stuff, and they had a whole thing on how to use all kinds of different software, all kinds of different post processors. So we got the right one, and it made all the difference in the world. And as you can see, this part came out fine. Now, my cutter wasn't that great. This actually wasn't a cutter that was included with the machine, which is amazing because it came with so much stuff. But this is just a ball end mill I had lying around, a 3/32 diameter, and it was okay, not in great shape, but so the part doesn't look fantastic, but it's not bad. And this was 3D machining I did here, and that's one of the more demanding things to do on a CNC, at least in terms of like absolute volumes of G code, because it spits out line after line of code, and it's a lot of times it's hard to explain, but it's lots of little line segments, so it's tons of code you see whizzing by. So they're big files when you have 3D machining, especially when you're stepping over. You're using a ball end mill, you're going back and forth, and if you're stepping over just a few thousandths at a time, then that file can be really huge. Of course, if you don't step over with fine enough steps, then it's all rough looking and ugly, and so there's always a compromise. And this one I stepped over, and of course now I'm working in millimeters, so that's a pain in the butt for me, but whatever, I can deal with it. So instead of stepping over 5 thou, 7 thou, 10 thou, I'm going over some fraction of a millimeter. Getting the post processor thing worked out was fantastic, and I had a little bit of trouble with getting my Z height. In fact, I was surprised, and of course the pucker factor was high when I ran the thing, came over and went full depth and then crashed into the side of the aluminum. I was like, oh my god. But you know what, it stopped. It went now the machine kind of like, I don't know, it freaked out, and it didn't really maybe it's me, but the air handling on this, it's not, I want to say politely, it's not ready for prime time, but I had to turn it off and turn it back on. But the fact that it crashed and didn't even break the end mill, that's impressive. So those guys get a lot of brownie points for that. But as far as when you're first starting, I still have not found a way to turn the rapid down. Of course, I haven't dedicated a ton of time to reading up on everything, but it's critical on anything I ever run, in my professional CNC work. I always run the rapids down as slow as I can, and my fingers on that reset button, ready to stop it, or the feed hold, ready to stop, because I'm watching that tool come down, and I'm looking at the readout, and it's saying, okay, Z 0.1. I always like to stop and say, okay, does it really look like it's 0.1? Okay, good. So I know I'm in the ballpark with all that. Here it's just, it rapids over, and I don't think there's a control of rapid speed on there. Every other CNC I've ever seen, you've got anywhere from 5% to 100%. And actually, my buddy's got I don't even know what brand it is, but it's actually adjustable with a knob, and that was really cool, because I'm sitting there on his, and it's the thing's going over 100%, and then I just turn the knob down, and it just crawls along to almost nothing. I think you could actually stop it, and that's fantastic, because I've crashed a lot of stuff over the years, and it's no fun. But yeah, the fact that it actually stopped and didn't even break a tool is like, wow, that's impressive. But anyway, it took me a little bit to figure out. I ended up using the wired touch probe to and you have just a little, basically a shaft that touches off and it makes electrical connection. So it's funny, because you lay this thing down on there, and it's just aluminum on a piece of plastic. It doesn't weigh anything, and it's like, well, isn't it going to just knock it around? But no, it's, as soon as it makes electrical contact, it stops in an instant, so it doesn't even move the thing. So it touches, you can have it touch vertically, you don't have to. So it'll do Z, X, and Y. Yeah. All right, well, thanks, folks. Appreciate you watching as always. I will catch you next time.